Next question is just a simple, why did you decide to get out?
It was always gonna be 5 years for me. I had other things I wanted to finish school. I had started and stopped, and so the military for me was a chance to get away from my safety net that I had here in Kansas City. I've got some siblings that are older than me that could pave the way for me for anything that I wanted to do, and I didn't feel like I was creating my own identity, and so I joined the military to get away and have my own adventure, to be able to create my own path. I loved it. It was the best decision I ever made. It helped me get stable in a lot of ways and helped me grow up in ways that I desperately needed. But it was never a career choice for me, and so I got what I could out of it and was done thereafter.
Yeah, I got out because my 5 years was up, and man, like I was really good at my job in the Marine Corps. I was a horrible Marine. Like, I mean, that would no. Like, I mean, it was a surprise I made it the whole 5 years.
I just saw the writing on the wall, and you know, as much as I didn't want to get out and I kept wanting to do what I was doing, I didn't really feel like I had a choice. Honestly, I kind of felt like my back was against the wall.
So it got to the point where I don't know if they thought they were doing me a favor by not putting me in combat or in the field, but that really demotivated me while I'm trying to motivate other people. So it was to the point where, you know, I said, well, there has to be, life has to be better than this. Let me see what the civilian sector has for me.
I got out because my wife was pregnant with twins. The other reason is, to be honest, I don't want to deploy again. I'd already done 3 deployments, and when I stopped drinking when I met my wife, and I really stopped in 2009, all those PTS stuff was rearing their heads, and all the stuff I'd been masking for years. It was time, because I was either going to get shot by one of my troops, or I was going to end my life, because I'd already had 3 bouts of suicide, and that was rearing its head even worse, and I needed to be on medication and a lot of stuff that was needed to get reestablished, and I couldn't do that in the Marine Corps successfully, so I'm glad it was time.
So I was in the Army for 9 years. That was unintentional. Like I said, I wanted to be a firefighter. Once I got deployed, that's when I really fell in love with the Army, and I went active duty after that. I was stuck as an E4 forever, and the only way I can get my stripes was to leave that unit. Left that unit, got my E5 immediately, and then I got a good taste of responsibility and having soldiers underneath you. And I realized that the Army's just letting anybody and everybody in, so I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. I don't want to go to war with these guys. And the other thing was, I was actually making more money on a weekend as a photographer than I was as a active duty sergeant in the Army. So I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't want to get out, but it was time, and yeah, it was time for me to get out. But yeah, I tell you right now, if there was a war to develop right now, and they would let me back in to go back to deployment like in 2004 in Mosul, I'd be the first one to sign up. I would, but I mean, they wouldn't let me back in now. But that's regardless.
To put it the easier way, everyone says they've seen the writing on the wall. My shelf life expired, just as everybody else here has done. I realized that what I was a tool in the. I think I still am a tool. Mm-hmm. That's fair. So, that's fair. So I was getting ready to get medically discharged. I was getting ready to get medically discharged. I fought that, won it, took my last deployment, and then came back and said, I don't need this anymore. As Russell alluded to here, the war has progressed, and for anybody who has that taste of combat and experience, you're not going to survive in today's new war. It's more about Dungeons and Dragons and going to Applebee's than what we initially did when we first liberated the country.
I didn't have a choice. I got blown up. It was.
Okay, so the next question is talk to me about your transition home.
I felt completely isolated away from my veteran family. I felt like that thing that I had so much pride in was immediately ripped away from me, and I didn't have an outlet or people to go to. I had a lot of my brothers that I stayed really close with. My Marines, I still am really close with, but only so much you can do by commenting on Facebook and talking on the phone from time to time. I didn't have a group that I could spend time with, and I'm a physical touch guy, and I need to be in people's presences, and so it was a big empty void for me, and for a really long time it was, what is my next mission going to be? What is the next thing that I'm going to be able to do that I'm going to feel pride in? How I'm spending my day and how I'm investing my time, and so that was something that was really absent until I found Veterans Community Project. This literally has saved my life. Being able to be around other vets, other like-minded guys that have had very similar experiences, it brought back that pride and that belief in, like, I was a part of something that was really special.
Yeah, so I openly admit, like, when I got out of the military, I came back into a great situation, right? Strong family, social support, friends, all of it, right? I was primed for success, and it didn't matter. Within 8 months of getting out, I found myself standing in front of a judge, and this judge is telling me, hey, go enroll in community college or I'm going to put you in jail, right? So after I got out of jail, I really, no. So anyway, enrolled in community college, fast forward about 8 years, and there I am, graduating with my law degree, got my master's. Things had really turned around for me, right? But then you look back at that point in front of that judge, and a step left, step right, I'm a very different person, all right? And that really, like, reinstilled almost a sense of duty to try to give back to other people like me that didn't get that lucky break, right? And that was my motivation behind Veterans Community Project, my little piece of it.
When I think about the transition out, like I said earlier, I was serious. We flew back stateside, and 12 days later, I EAS'd. So, there was a bunch of guys in my unit and stuff that were still at home on leave, and I was checking out and leaving. So, like every other frickin' Marine out there, went on a really long road trip for a while, and then came back home, got drunk, popped out a kid. So, I don't think you've ever fully transitioned out. I don't think you ever truly, but I don't know. So, I don't know.
I mean, just to fit in with what Ben said, like, honestly, I don't think I'm out. I don't think I'm out. And I say that because the world and society as it is right now, I am so effective for them when I'm Sergeant Julu. I get things done and they love me when I'm Sergeant Julu. But then when I have to get mushy and feely with people and I can't, he's been in the military too long, he's no good, he doesn't fit. But when they need something done, they call Sergeant Julu. And that guy, that Sergeant Julu, and what he does and the response he gets fits with me. And I think the day that I have to stop being Sergeant Julu, I might kill myself. I don't think I can survive in today's day and time not being Sergeant Julu. So as long as if I'm asked that question, I'm going to respond. I'm not out, and I refuse to be out.
My wife was pregnant with twins, and I EAS'd in June of 2009, and my twins were born December 25th of 2009. Within my terminal leave, I had 3 jobs: a taxi cab, delivering pizza, and flipping burgers. And so those times when I first got out of the Marine Corps was trying to figure out, who is Michael? Am I still Sergeant Folky, or am I something more? And the whole idea of wearing a Marine Corps T-shirt that I'd never be caught dead in as a sergeant, because I wore my camis. So the more I developed in transitioning, and the more the VA pushed medication or therapy and everything I was going through with finances and good, bad, and different decisions, it wasn't until I transitioned into the vet center that I honestly started to grow. And I started coming into some definite PTSD growth, but like, because I started being vulnerable and telling people my story and stepping up and realizing just because I don't wear the uniform anymore that I'm still Sergeant Folky. You know, I'm still that guy, because the idea of Marines give each other a hard time is that, you know, I'm never an ex-Marine or a former Marine. I'm always a Marine.
So I didn't really have a transition either. I became a camera salesman the day after I got out of the Army. I think just growing up poor, I was so scared that I was going to be the same way. And that's always been a huge fear of mine, is I don't want to live that life that my parents gave me. And again, I don't want to talk bad about my parents. Like I said, they did everything, but I don't want that life. And it was horrifying. So literally the next day when I got out of the Army, I started my job. And it was kind of crazy because, like, I remember whenever I was getting out, I was kind of saying my goodbyes to everyone and giving hugs and shaking hands, and it never felt real, because even some of them were like, all right, well, we'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm done forever. This is it. And like, all right, yeah, well, we'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, so it still feels weird. I still have my uniform. I still got everything like I never got out. That mentality's still there, and I can definitely relate. Sergeant Barasco has saved my own life countless times that Matthew Barasco couldn't make it through. Sergeant Barasco came out and got me through that.
The first 3 years after I got out, I've tried to work. I've had 14 jobs in 3 years, trying to find somewhere to fit in and something to do. And, you know, 2 or 3 of them I quit because I can't stand civilians. I got tired of being told, you're working too hard, you're making us look bad. You know what I mean? Because I got raised, you get assigned a job, you do the job until the job's done, and that's it. You're getting paid to be here, you might as well be working, right? It's not the way shit works anymore.
July 2009, I came back to Kansas City, Missouri. By October, I was going through my first divorce, living back on my dad's couch. I was in the reserves at this time, and I was a functioning alcoholic and functioning drug addict. I was able to hide it enough from the reserves. I volunteered for my last deployment in 2013. Good to go. Was able to once again be that soldier. I had to be accountable. I had to be a soldier. People's lives were depending on me doing my job. Came back, went to my second divorce, had a suicide attempt, and then I was no longer in the military. And I think the sentiment here across is that everyone says sergeant, corporal, private, whatever it is. I think it's actually the need to serve. So it's not that Sergeant Julu saved Sergeant Julu's life. Sergeant Morales didn't save Sergeant Morales' life. It's the combination of our call to serve. Sergeant Folky, his call to serve is what saved him. Corporal Meyer, his call to serve is what led him from being a decent lawyer, I'd imagine, to now leading this amazing flagship that we have here. And it's all back to a call to serve. You got blown up.